Welcome back to The Ultimate Titan. You know we love doing these deep dives with you guys. Today we're really embarking on a journey into something incredibly powerful in your life, your words. And this isn't just, about what you say. It's deeper. It's this profound link, often kind of hidden between your language and, who you are.
Your very being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every single interaction, right?
Yeah.
Every conversation you have, emails you send, your communication isn't just passing information along.
No, not at all.
It's more like it's a compressed version of your whole personality, your intentions, even your impact, all distilled into what people hear.
An experience from you.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting, and let's be honest, often frustrating.
Oh, definitely.
What you send is so often not what gets received. You think you're being crystal clear,
Perfectly clear in your own head.
and then it just lands completely wrong on the other side. Leads to all this miscommunication.
Yeah, that cascade effect.
But understanding this, really mastering communication, has this transformative power. It can genuinely reshape everything. Your career, your relationships.
Even just the direction your life is headed.
It all seems to hinge on the choices you make deliberately with your words.
It really does.
So today we're going to unpack some incredibly potent insights. They come from a really unique perspective, a highly respected trial lawyer.
Right. Not some abstract theory.
No, exactly. Not from a dusty textbook. These are like hard-won tips from the trenches.
Battle tested.
Yeah. Imagine this lawyer, like moments after some high-stakes cross-examination, just sitting in his car between cases and just distilling this profound communication wisdom, practical stuff, for navigating real conflict, real connection.
Real life.
Or look at things like how to unravel arguments, how to deliver difficult news confidently.
Responding to disrespect, too.
Yes, and even making small talk feel, more meaningful. So, let's begin to unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is just how fundamental your words are in sculpting how people see you, how they experience you. It boils down to something almost startlingly simple. You can't really be a kind person if you don't actually say kind things.
That's direct.
Think about it. When someone describes another person as kind or nice, it's almost always because that person spoke kindly to them.
Yeah, that's true.
And conversely, if you hear something you really don't like, your view of the speaker instantly shifts,
That's
right?
right.
They become rude, abrasive.
Immediately, yeah. It's a direct link.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really challenges some assumptions we hold, deeply ingrained ones.
Like what, for example?
Well, like the idea that using more words means better communication.
Right, that quantity equals quality.
Or that being shy, naturally quiet, somehow stops you from being effective. That's just not accurate.
Yep.
And again, these insights, they aren't academic. They were forged in the white-hot crucible of real conflict.
You mentioned the courtroom.
Intense courtroom showdowns, yeah.
Yeah.
Arguing with opposing attorneys, persuading judges, even navigating really delicate stuff with clients.
Wow.
It's raw, it's relatable, it's profoundly human advice, really. Straight from the front lines of, verbal combat and connection.
That real-world context, born out of sheer necessity in those high-stakes situations, it definitely makes these insights land differently.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right into one of the big ones. Arguments. We all face them. That frustrating pitfall.
Yeah.
You say something, your partner, friend, colleague hears something totally different, and boom, you're tangled in this knot of misunderstanding.
The knot.
The trial lawyer whose insights we're drawing on, he frames arguments not as something to, win.
Right. Not a tug of war.
No.
Yeah.
But something to unravel. It's not about pulling your end of the rope harder. It's about looking at the tangle together
Yeah.
and saying, okay, help me understand this knot. How can we smooth this out?
Exactly. It's a huge shift in mindset. Profound, really. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you're on 90s country
Okay.
and the other person's tuned into 2000s R&B,
Yeah.
you're both hearing music, sure, but you're on completely different frequencies, fundamentally different.
Right. So you're not connecting.
Which illustrates perfectly why what is sent is not what is received. Such a crucial idea.
Okay.
What you thought you said, what you intended, often isn't remotely what they heard or how they interpreted it.
So what's the immediate key then? tactically,
It's simple. You just ask, what did you hear?
instead of jumping to defend yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of that instinct, when someone hits you with, why did you say that? Which, by the way, that word why,
Mhm.
it almost always triggers defensiveness.
Oh, yeah. Puts you on the back foot immediately. Feels like an accusation.
Totally. So the more effective way is to genuinely ask about their perception. Why? Pushes people to justify, to explain, makes them feel accused.
Right.
What just invites them to describe, to share their reality. It's subtle, maybe, but incredibly powerful. It redirects from accusation to understanding.
That makes so much sense when you break it down psychologically. Because why did you say that? Triggers that, like reptilian brain response. Attack. Defend.
Fight or flight.
So intentionally flipping it, using what instead of why, that becomes this amazing tool for de-escalation, for
Yeah.
clarity.
Absolutely.
So instead of why would you do that,
Yeah.
it's more like what was going through your head when that happened.
And what made you decide on that action?
Yes, it shifts the whole energy from judgment, which closes people down, to genuine curiosity. You're leaning in, wanting to understand their view, not just poke them.
It changes the dynamic instantly. You go from being opponents on opposite sides
Right.
to teammates working together on the same side of the problem.
That's huge.
It absolutely is. And this idea, separating the people from the problem, it extends to giving feedback too, or raising issues.
Oh, okay. How so?
We often fall into that trap, right?
Huh.
Criticizing the person when we're actually frustrated by a situation.
Yeah. Like with work feedback or even just mess at home.
Exactly. So instead of your presentation wasn't great or your room is a mess, both put you right at the center. Triggers immediate defense.
Wall goes up.
Instead, you objectify the issue. The presentation could benefit from some changes. The room is still messy. See the difference?
Yeah, it's not about them being flawed. It's about the thing.
Right. And then, crucially, you invite collaboration.
Oh, this is such a game changer.
Mm.
For parents, roommates,
Yeah.
anyone sharing space or tasks.
Totally.
So instead of your room is a disaster, maybe stand at the door and say, wow, this room's pretty messy. What should we do about it?
Perfect.
Or for those dirty dishes in the sink. The dishes still aren't done. What's our plan for getting these tackled?
Exactly. You're symbolically pulling your chair right next to theirs,
Yeah.
looking at the problem together as teammates.
Not standing across from them like an accuser.
It transforms the whole conversation. It's not an accusation anymore, it's a shared challenge.
And people generally like to be helpful, right? So asking
Yes.
for their help makes them more likely to engage.
Absolutely. It reframes the entire dynamic. Okay, let's pivot a bit to something many people find really difficult. Delivering bad news.
Oh, yeah. Walking on eggshells time.
Right. Many of us, we instinctively tiptoe around it.
Yeah.
Or we try that classic sandwich method,
Good, bad, good.
which honestly most people see right through it, and it just prolongs the agony, the
Is it
anxiety.
better?
The more effective approach, and often actually the kinder one, is to be direct, upfront. Don't dance around it.
That sounds really intimidating for a lot of people. Like, what does that actually look like? Do you just blurt it out?
Well, not quite blurting, but prepared directness. Think about that common awful preamble.
Oh, I know the one.
Well, hey, how are you? Pickleball good? Family? Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I have something we've been talking. It's not a huge deal, but
Oh, yeah. Just builds anxiety on both sides.
exactly. Instead, you go straight for it. But you prepare them for the nature of the conversation. You might say, thanks for meeting me. I have some difficult news to share. Or maybe, this isn't going to be a fun conversation, but it's important we have it.
Okay. So you lead with the truth of the situation. Provide a clear frame.
Yes. We hesitate because we're afraid to disappoint people.
Yeah.
We mistakenly think they can't handle it emotionally.
Yeah, we want to protect them or ourselves from their reaction.
But what you're actually doing when you tiptoe, when you sugarcoat, you're inadvertently kind of babying them.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
People will actually admire you more. They'll see you with greater respect, greater confidence when you deliver what needs saying, fully, directly, and with the appropriate gravity.
So it's actually kinder to be direct and truthful.
Right.
Because I think we're often conditioned the other way, that soft pedaling is somehow nicer.
Precisely. It's far crueler to intentionally lie to someone's face or, treat them one way when they're there and then complain behind their back.
Right.
When you skirt the truth, you're implicitly saying, I don't think you're strong enough to handle this. But when you say, look, I'm telling you this directly because I know you can handle it, you're you're actually empowering them.
You're giving them credit.
You're effectively handing them the armor, or maybe the backpack, for the journey they're about to start. It's a really powerful vote of confidence.
That's incredible. So you jump in with the difficult news, but you also affirm their strength.
Yes.
You actually articulate the positive qualities you want them to show.
Yeah.
And they often rise to meet that.
Exactly. Saying things like, I'm telling you this because I know you value transparency, or
I know you have big shoulders and can handle tough news.
precisely.
Yeah.
It's like you're subtly guiding them toward the reaction you hope for. And speaking of guiding, you mentioned setting a frame earlier for the conversation. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, what is that?
Setting a frame means you clearly state how you ideally want the conversation to end. And crucially, you get their agreement on that outcome right at the start.
Okay, give me an example.
All right, imagine maybe a difficult, perhaps insensitive comment was made at dinner last night. You might approach the person later and say something like, hey, I'd like to talk about that comment you made last night. And I want us to walk away from this chat knowing that this isn't a topic you'll bring up again in front of others. Does that sound reasonable?
Ah, I see. You're defining the boundaries and the specific result you're aiming for.
Yeah.
Right up front.
Exactly. It keeps the conversation focused, productive. You know, when you try to talk about everything, you often end up talking about nothing substantial.
That is a total game changer for avoiding those endless, circular, frustrating discussions we all hate.
Right.
Okay, let's shift gears again. Another common one. Responding to disrespect or belittling comments in the moment. How do you handle that with grace, but also power?
Yeah, this is tough. So when someone directs a comment like that at you, an insult, a belittling remark, the most effective response is often just to make them say it again.
Really? Just ask them to repeat it.
Yeah. See, they're usually looking for that immediate emotional reaction from you, that little hit of dopamine they get from making you uncomfortable. By asking them to repeat it calmly, you introduce a delay. You force them to actually articulate it again. And it just drains all the fun out of it for them.
So if someone makes a snide remark like, oh, you're still single.
Your calm, even response can just be, could you repeat that for me? Or maybe, I need you to say that again.
And what usually happens?
Most likely, they won't repeat it. The discomfort suddenly becomes theirs, not yours.
Oh, that's brilliant. It flips the spotlight right back onto them and what they intended, not your reaction.
Exactly. And if, surprisingly, they do repeat it,
Then what?
you can follow up with a simple, direct question about their intent. Did you say that to hurt me? Or did you say that to embarrass me?
Wow. Direct.
It forces them to confront their own motives, the impact of their words. Often they'll just backtrack, mumble something, maybe apologize. You don't need to say anything else.
You stripped the insult of its power because you didn't give them the reaction they wanted.
You've basically taken all the oxygen out of their room, leaves them gasping.
Wow. I can think of so many times I could have used that. And even, like, the flip side. Times I might have inadvertently belittled someone myself.
How so?
Like maybe asking a question that has an underlying judgment. Family member comes home with something new and expensive and I ask, oh, is that new? What I'm really thinking is,
where did you get the money for that?
yeah. And they could powerfully turn that back by asking, are you trying to insinuate something with that question?
Yeah.
It really is a powerful mirror.
It is. It's about disowning it by putting the onus back where it belongs, on the speaker.
Okay. Any other ways to handle disrespect? Especially if it's really out of line?
Yes. Strategic silence.
Silence.
If someone says something truly disrespectful, truly egregious, just pause. Don't respond immediately. Give it a full 5, maybe even 10 seconds.
That sounds awkward.
Exactly. That deliberate pause creates this noticeable distance between their offensive words and whatever you say next. Makes it incredibly awkward for them.
And then what do you say after the silence?
After that beat, you can respond with something calm, measured, like, that comment is below my standard for a response. Or maybe, I don't engage on that level. Suddenly, the dynamic flips completely. You've clearly communicated their behavior is beneath you. You refuse to stoop to that level.
That's so incredibly empowering. Asserting your boundaries, your standards, without escalating the conflict.
Precisely.
What if? What if you're just present when someone else is being disrespectful? Like a family member being rude to a waiter or someone in customer service.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable. Your primary job there is to emphatically not join in.
Right, don't pile on.
And make it clear through your own actions that their behavior doesn't represent you. Be overtly kind to the person being disrespected, appreciative, gracious.
So acknowledge the service worker directly.
Yeah.
Smile, say an extra thank you.
Absolutely. And then if it's someone you care about, someone you have influence with, you have to establish a firm boundary later, calmly but firmly. With a loved one, you might say, look, if this is how you're going to talk to people, I just can't come out with you.
Wow, that takes courage.
It does. But it's about being their biggest, most honest mirror. You're actually protecting them, in a way, by showing them how their actions are landing, how they're perceived. You deliver the truth, but hopefully from a place of love and concern, not judgment.
Okay, so broadening this out. General communication habits, especially for maybe people who feel shy or have social anxiety or just want to enhance their presence generally. What are some core principles?
One of the biggest and I think most overlooked is just the power of being succinct.
Just saying less.
Often, yeah. People who are nervous or maybe want to sound knowledgeable, they end up saying way too much.
Guilty. Over-explaining.
Over-explaining, hedging, adding tons of qualifiers, and then you feel like you said nothing at all, right? Because you've watered down the core message completely.
Yeah.
You can communicate a profound amount with fewer, well-chosen words. Think of it like eliminating the water from your drink.
What do you mean, the water?
All the unnecessary stuff, the apologies, sorry to bother you. The hedging, I mean, kind of, sort of. The long preambles, get rid of those distracting ice cubes. Be more direct.
So instead of that rambling, sorry, I mean, it's not really a big deal, but like, basically, I guess what I wanted to say is, I'm not really comfortable with this, you know?
Right.
It's just, this is not something I'm comfortable with.
Yes. Huge difference in perceived confidence. Clarity.
Massive.
And building on that, probably the single most impactful thing you can do before you say anything is take a breath.
Just breathe.
That pause, that breath before your first word. It signals things. It tells people you've heard them, that you're present, that you're actually in control of your thoughts and your response.
Instead of just reacting.
Too often we talk to figure out what we want to say, like a plane taking off without knowing where it's going to land.
Oh my goodness, that's so me sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely talk things out. Where I start is rarely where I finish.
Lots of people do.
So this idea, the breath is the first word, combined with knowing your destination, where you want the conversation to end up. That's incredibly powerful for being intentional.
It really is. Destination is key.
How do we apply that in more casual settings? Like social events, networking, where just striking up a conversation can feel so awkward.
Yeah, the crowded room dilemma. First, resist that urge to try and talk to everyone.
But the butterfly approach.
Yeah, it's just a recipe for superficial chats and feeling exhausted. Instead, focus. Aim for genuine connection with just one or two people.
Quality over quantity.
Absolutely. You'll gain far more from one real, maybe 6-minute conversation than a dozen rushed nice to meet yous.
Okay. And when you do engage, beyond hi,
instead of the default, how are you, which usually gets a backward-looking answer, sometimes negative, often just generic.
fine, good, very.
Right. Ask about the future. What are you excited about today? Or what are you looking forward to this week?
Oh, interesting. Why does that work better?
People generally light up more. They're more positive, more engaged when they talk about aspirations, future plans. It opens things up.
That's a fantastic, really actionable tip. Makes small talk instantly more meaningful. And memorable, probably.
Usually, yeah.
What about when someone asks you, how are you? How do you answer without just saying fine or like launching into your whole life story?
Same principle. Look forward in your answer.
Okay.
You could say, I'm really looking forward to seeing my kids later, or I'm excited about the big game on Friday. Something positive and future-oriented.
And if you're genuinely having a rough day
Yeah.
and don't want to lie, but also don't want to overshare,
You can use a simple, relatable analogy, like the weather.
the weather.
Yeah? It's a little overcast for me today, but I'm pushing through.
It's truthful, acknowledges things aren't perfect, but it doesn't invite a deep dive into your struggles that, frankly, nobody asked for.
Right. It's polite, contained, not a therapy session.
Exactly. It's polite and contained. That's truly clever. It completely avoids the fine trap without becoming an information dump, which brings us to another powerful analogy you shared. Don't be a waterfall, be a well.
Yes. The waterfall versus the well.
Explain that.
Oversharing, being a waterfall, often comes from this unconscious need maybe to feel believed or to prove you know something.
I can see that.
But the ironic truth is, the more you say to prove a point, sometimes the less credible you actually seem.
Really?
Think about it. The more words it takes to explain the truth, the more it can start to sound like a lie, can it?
Huh. Yeah. It can feel like protesting too much.
Exactly. So instead, strive to be a well, a deep, reliable source. People can draw information from you when they genuinely need it, when they ask.
So you offer a bucket full of clarity when requested.
Yes. Rather than just gushing out everything uninvited and overwhelming people, it cultivates a sense of wisdom, maybe?
Yeah.
Depth.
I can certainly identify with the waterfall tendency sometimes. So this well image, that's really transformative for me. I love that idea. Being a source people choose to dip into.
It undeniably creates a different perception, thoughtfulness, composure. And beyond these sort of tactical shifts, effective communication is also about cultivating clear goals for your conversations and living by strong values within them.
Goals and values.
Your goal is just your destination. We talked about that. Where you want the conversation to land. Your values are the principles guiding how you stay authentic to yourself while getting there.
Can you give examples of conversational values?
Sure. One powerful one is, if I can't be a bridge, be a lighthouse.
Meaning?
If you find you just can't connect directly with someone or you can't resolve the issue right now, still strive to be a clear, consistent source of light for them so they know exactly where you stand if they ever need to come back or re-engage.
Okay, I like that. Lighthouse. What else?
Another simple but profound one, if there's room for kindness, I will absolutely use it. You will truly never regret having been kind, even in a really difficult exchange.
That feels important.
And maybe a final guiding principle, one that can sort of define your whole persona. Tell them who I am without telling them my name.
Wow. Let your words, your presence.
How you make people feel, let that define you in every interaction.
So applying that,
Yeah.
even in a tough work conversation or a family disagreement, you can pause and ask yourself, okay, is there any room for kindness here? Without compromising the core message.
Exactly.
And if there is, you find a way to inject it. That's how you consciously choose to show up as the person you want to be.
Precisely. And, particularly in the workplace, always remember this fundamental truth.
Yeah.
Aim to have something to learn, not something to prove.
Learn, not prove. Okay.
Genuine curiosity about others, the situation, new information, it's far more effective, far more respected than constantly pushing your own agenda. Especially if you want to be seen as collaborative, capable, insightful.
Makes sense.
And maybe use words that subtly convey authority or direction without being bossy.
Like what?
Phrases like, I'd like to set the direction for this conversation. Or maybe, I don't like the direction this is going. It subtly but firmly positions you as the thoughtful captain of the ship, guiding things.
Okay. So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've really explored a profound truth today, haven't we?
I think so.
The sheer power, often untapped, of your words. It seemed undeniably clear that what comes out of your mouth, the language you choose, it powerfully influences basically every aspect of your life.
From your closest relationships.
Yeah, the warmth and depth there, to breakthroughs and advancements in your career. Your words are literally sculpting your reputation, your perceived character, the impact you make.
On everyone you encounter.
And here's the most empowering part, I think. This incredible ability to change your communication, and by doing that, change your life. It's entirely within your control, right now.
Absolutely.
It's not about, needing some expensive course or reading a pile of books first. It's about making a conscious choice.
Yeah.
But the next word that comes out of your mouth,
The very next one.
which raises that important question for you to think about. Who do you want your words to say that you truly are? Hopefully, you can take these insights and actively apply them. In your own life, use that inherent power of your words for good, for clarity, for light.
And this power we've been discussing, it really is remarkably accessible. It's something you can learn, you can hone at any point. Doesn't matter how old you are or what your past communication habits were like or how you've always seen yourself.
It's never too late.
Never. What you choose to say next, genuinely, in any given moment, has the power to change anything. And that consistent, deliberate application of these kinds of verbal habits, it doesn't just shape how others see you, it profoundly shapes your own self-identity over time.
How you see yourself.
Exactly. Each conscious choice you make with your words, it truly defines who you become, moment by moment, conversation by conversation. The actions of your words really are the brushstrokes of your identity.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it interesting and thought-provoking. And as always, we encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to The Ultimate Titan for more deep dives into the big ideas shaping our world.